Hello, hello, my very dear audio friends around the world. Good to see you back. I'm Paul, this is my studio, Warsaw, Poland. That's my new air conditioning. Yeah, I have to finish this wall to make it look nice again. But of course, that's not what we're gonna talk about today, right? We're gonna talk about GPU audio. Have you heard about them? It's a relatively new company. I've heard about them first time like a year ago, and I learned that they are working on utilizing your GPU, your graphic card, to process audio in your DAW. By that time, they released their first beta plugin, which is FIR Convolver. And yes, today I'd like to put it under some real-life test, a performance benchmark test, because I was wondering, hey, how many instances of this Convolver can I run on my GPUs, because I've got 3 of them in 3 studio computers. I also thought it would be cool to compare it against CPU native convolution reverb. I'm gonna use the one I've got in Cubase and Nuendo, and also I'm gonna additionally compare it against universal audio convolution reverb that I've also got in this very main studio computer. Let's go! Performing today's test is quite tricky, I would say, because I have to still run OBS on my machine, and OBS is consuming both CPU and GPU. And that means at some point I'm gonna quit recording, I'm gonna quit OBS, and I'm gonna leave only my DAW to squeeze every drop of juice from all of my workstations. So take that into account, guys. And I'm just gonna show you the methodology I'm gonna use for the test, and then I'm gonna just skip to presenting you the results. Let's go. The first part of the test is like the easiest one because it's not CPU and GPU dependent, and it's running Universal Audio Capitol Chambers. And well, I know the result already. I know how heavy this is. I know that I've got 3 octa-core UAD cards, and I know how many instances of this I'm able to run. And I'm going to do it the way that. Here's the short vocal loop I'm going to use for the purpose of this test. Here's my Capitol Chambers instance, and I'm gonna simply do like, I suppose, 4 per track, and then I'm gonna duplicate the track itself. Let's go. But to really go, we still have to open a UAD performance monitor so that we see how our cores are consumed with this plugin. You can see that it took 80% of one of my Shark cores, and the point is that it cannot use the last 20 for this plugin. No, it has to run the whole process, the whole plugin on a separate core. So, well, it's easy to calculate, but let's go for it. It's not gonna be too pleasant because it's gonna resonate after a couple of instances. So I'm gonna actually put it all down, but still it's gonna be consuming my power. 4 instances, 6, 7, 8 instances, and 8 cores are already taken, as you can see, guys. And that means that I've got 3 octa-core cards. It's easy to calculate. Duplicate, yeah, it's gonna take a while, and duplicate again, and that means I've got 24 instances of this plugin. And when I try to do one more, exactly 1 or more UAD plugins are disabled because of DSP resources were exceeded, guys. So I'm gonna take it away back, and playing, stopping means nothing. It's simply there on a separate dedicated core, and that's it. 24 instances of UAD convolution reverb here. Now, let's go native. And my machine is AMD Ryzen 7 5800X 8-core, 4.7 GHz, 64 GB of RAM, NVIDIA GTX 1660 Ti graphics. That's, of course, something you should know when doing a benchmark. And also, it's Windows 10, all the updates, all the unnecessary processes and blah, blah, blah are turned off. My session is also 48 kilohertz, 24-bit. My SU guard level in Nuendo is set to medium. The buffer size on my RME interface is 1024 samples. And I'm gonna make a guess. I'll be able to run at least 200 instances of this thing. Yes, this CPU is really powerful, and I can bet all my money, it's not much, that I'm gonna be able to run at least 200 of these. Let's go! So I've got like what? 8 times 4, 32 instances of this thing. Nothing. Like really less than 4%. I mean, this is crazy even, I would say. Guys. Okay, let's duplicate all this. So we've got 64 instances. Yeah. And I'm gonna duplicate, so I'm gonna have 128 instances right now. Yes, and now I can see that my CPU goes a bit, just a bit higher, but this is still nothing excessive. 23%, 33%. I'm gonna go 256 instances right away, because I'm sure this machine can handle it with no hassle at all. Guys. Okay, I think this is the moment I should quit actually OBS, because I've got more than 60% of usage. And I don't want my computer to crash, because then I'm not gonna even recover my OBS video. So I'm gonna stop it right now, and I'm gonna perform this test to the very end, and I'm gonna tell you the result. Guys, that was pretty insane. Actually, I was able to run 46 tracks, 8 instances of REVerence each, which gives a whopping number of 368 instances of convolution before it started popping, crackling, and having performance issues. My CPU usage was 97%, my memory usage was 98%. So officially, AMD CPUs are amazing, guys. I did not expect this result to be that good. And now, the last part of our test, on this machine, of course, is going for GPU. Here it is, same sample, same insert, same methodology, but this time we're gonna use the latest version of our FIR Convolver by GPU Audio, and we're gonna be interested in looking at actually this. So this is our GPU. OBS is consuming a lot from it, so at some point, sooner rather than later, I'm gonna turn OBS off. Let's go. Okay, cool, 6%. One more instance. 25%, having 4 instances. 5, 6, 7, 8. How is that gonna be now? Yeah, 45%. Yeah, so I'm gonna simply double it. But to double it, guys, I have to quit my OBS right now. I'll be back to you soon. Hello, hello. Yeah, I'm back. Guys, I was able to run 7 tracks, 8 instances each, which gives 56 plus another track with 2 instances, which gives me 58 instances of GPU's FIR Convolver, and then my Nuendo and all my system stopped responding to anything I did. But still, 58 is better than I expected on my 1660 Ti. It's just a very average or below even average GPU these days. And guys, that's it for this machine. Now I'm gonna go and do the same test on 2 of my other studio machines, and I'll be back. Guys, I'm back. and I know everything. I've tested everything. I put it into one sheet for you, and let's take a look. First of all, our session was 24 kilohertz, 24-bit. My buffer size was 1024 samples for each of my interfaces. My ASIO guard in Nuendo and Cubase was set everywhere to medium, and also I had minimum background processors and apps running. And my first machine, the main one, this one, which is AMD Ryzen 7 5800X running at 4.7 GHz, 64 GB RAM, GTX 1660 Ti, RME Fireface UFX, Windows 10, Nuendo 11. As you know, I was able to run 24 instances of UAD Capitol Chambers, then 368 native REVerence instances, which is a really cool result. And then, as for my GPU, I was able to run 58 instances. And these are the limits where my system, my DAW, kept stable. No drops, no clicks, no freezes, just pure flow of audio signals in my DAW. That was the maximum I reached. Then, the second of my machines that used to be my main machine, which is Intel Core i9-9900K, running at 4.9 GHz, 32 GB RAM, GTX 1080 Scarlett 3rd generation, Windows 10, Nuendo 11. 307 instances of native REVerence, convolution, reverb, and then the GPU gave me 63 instances. Same story. Anything beyond that, anything I tried to put on top, made crashes, pops, clicks, and instability. The last of my machines, it's the third machine. It was never my first machine. It's like an additional computer in the studio for podcasts and some simpler works, which is AMD Ryzen 5 1600X running at 4.0 GHz, 8 GB of RAM, GTX 1050 Ti, Scarlett 3rd generation, Windows 10. There's a mistake. Cubase 11, my friends. And I got a result of 64 native instances, but I think that was due to lack of memory. I probably would still be able to get close to 200, if not my memory limit. I should still buy 8 GB extra. And then my GPU gave me 17 instances. Guys, that's it. And if I were to draw some conclusions on it, starting from GPU, because this is the main reason I did all this test. I mean, GPU audio is giving you some serious power under the hood. Seriously, this is nothing you can just disrespect, not take into account when you're, for example, mixing a large film project with 200 and more tracks, like taking your reverberation, for example, from your CPU, if you're not using UAD, for example, and doing it on your GPU still matters on really large projects. And of course, we've got lots of computing powers on our CPUs these days, but still all the audio pros like filmmakers, film audio editors and mixers, they're gonna appreciate this, and this is the real power that's there available for you, and it has got a huge potential, guys. So yes, I'm actually a fan officially of this. Of course, there are some things to be... Of course, this platform is just in beta testing. They've got early access of just one plugin. So now the question is, how many plugins they're gonna release on their own? How many plugin makers, vendors they gonna invite to use their platform? Are they gonna make a VST wrapper for some third-party plugins, or they gonna make a new plugin format so that it utilizes GPU but it's still fine for our DAWs? I don't know, but there's no offer for now, but they say at GPU Audio that there will be a suite of plugins, and the third-party vendors and makers are going to be granted access to GPU Audio, and it totally makes sense, though it's gonna take time, of course. As for native, well, AMD Ryzen is the king, and I'm so happy that I've bought this CPU. I was not wrong. It's really, really great, very efficient, amazing price to performance ratio. And it's also really, really stable, like nothing happens here. I remember the times where AMDs were not really recommended for any audio work. It's no more, guys. Don't be afraid of AMD CPUs. They are great for audio. And, well, as for UAD, well, Capitol Chambers is not the lightest of their plugins. But it's also interesting that UAD seems like the less capable in terms of plugin count and processing power. And we all know it, Shark processors are like nothing too fancy or efficient. They are good for real-time computing, but you need a lot of them, as you can see. And this is the result, though I still believe and think that UAD algos are one of the best. Totally. Guys, shall we sum this up somehow? So, is the GPU audio the future of DSP audio computing? I would say that partially, I bet it is. It's not gonna take over simply because we still have CPUs, we still have UADs, some of us, and still the CPUs will grow stronger and stronger, GPUs as well. But you know what? It's a great addition, it's a great extra computing power that's there for you, and you're not using it while you're working in your DAW, you're not playing computer games or stuff. So guys, it's a really, really great news for many audio pros that work on large sessions. The only question right now is what kind of plugins and when will appear for GPU audio. As we know, UAD platform was also open to third-party makers like Plugin Alliance and Softube. For some reason, they stopped delivering plugins for UAD. Maybe that's kind of revenue share or licensing with UAD, I don't know. And I have no idea what the policies for third-party companies will be at GPU audio, but I hope it's gonna be really something inviting and attractive for plugin makers, because if you ask me, as a film pro, I'm totally into it. And in general, it's really cool to have even more computing power available, working like it's there, but you didn't know it's there. Guys, and that's it. It was actually the first time I did some kind of an engineering measuring test. Not too scientific still, probably, I know, but I enjoyed it. I think it's cool, and I hope you think it's cool, and it's informative, and it's fun, as always. And I hope to see you soon. Bye.